Hello, everybody. Good evening. Good Monday evening. This is the City of Aurora Facebook Live, an evening edition for the first time. Clayton Muhammad, Director of Communications with the City of Aurora Mayor's Office. We are honored to have tonight, kicking off what we'll call our Monday Motivation Series, but really wrapping up National Poetry Month for the month of April, four dynamic wordsmiths and poets who are really helping to change the fabric of Aurora as our Deputy Poet Laureates and Poet Laureate. You can please wave. Deputy Poet Laureate Anthony Stanford is here with us tonight. Deputy Poet Laureate Quentin Johnson is here.
Hey, everybody.
Deputy Poet Laureate Fermina Ponce is with us.
Hello.
And leading tonight is our first ever Poet Laureate for the City of Aurora. She is a legend, no doubt. Miss Karen Fullett-Christensen, we'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. And even though National Poetry Month is coming to an end, I think that the four of us would agree that poetry is something that should be part of your day, every day, whether things are such that you're stuck at home or whether you can be out among other people. I want to tell you before I forget that we have a Facebook page. It's Aurora Poet Laureate on Facebook. And every morning before 8:30, I post a poem. It's one that's been written either by Anthony or Fermina or Quentin or me. And we've also received poems from students and then from other local writers. So I would absolutely encourage anyone that's thinking about writing poetry, and particularly teachers, if you're looking for projects for remote learning. We've had a great response from Robin West's class at McDonald Valley High School. I'd like to see other teachers respond as well. If you have poetry that you want to send to me, I'd ask that you send it to my email address, which is kfc16@sbcglobal.net, and I will post your poem. I know that this has been a tough time for all of us to be inside, but as I said earlier, I think poetry is a great way to express your feelings and to express what you're thinking about. So I'm going to ask each of our deputy laureates to tell me what they've been doing in terms of writing. Quentin, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Thank you, Karen. Well, I've kind of taken it upon myself to write poetry that shines a bright light on people, on good memories. I wrote a recent poem called Healthcare Heroes because I want to try to bring some lightness, to bring some shining moments from the current or the past, something else to occupy our minds other than the traditional things that are going on, the daily updates for people who are coming down with this virus, the regular boredom that we all go through from perhaps being inside too long. So it's been my mission to write poetry that celebrates people, places, and things to bring good memories back to mind.
Well, and one thing that I've noticed with the things that you sent for the Facebook page, you are really building a great trove of things about Aurora history. I'm very impressed at your interest in researching things and finding ways to make that resonate in poetry. It's quite an effort, and I think everyone in Aurora should appreciate that. Do you have something that you want to read? And what we're going to do for the audience, we're going to go around kind of in a round robin, and we'll take turns reading and talking about our poetry and asking each other questions. And if you have comments, I believe that you can make comments on the Facebook page, and then Clayton will pass them on to us. Yes. So we'll start with Quentin, if you have something you want to read.
Yeah, I'd like to start off with this short poem called Pigeon Hill Dreamers. Pigeon Hill is a real iconic neighborhood here in Aurora, and it's really just fascinating to see how much information is out there about the area and about all the different types of people that moved to that part of town and started their lives over here in the United States. So this is entitled Pigeon Hill Dreamers. Upon a steep hill named for pigeons, Luxembourgers lived near Romanians. The steeples rose high like the hopes in their eyes for a dream they knew as American.
That's great. Do you have any personal connection to Pigeon Hill?
No, I do not. No, I do not. I'm really not from this area. Most of my family are from Minnesota or Iowa. But for me, ever since I moved to Aurora, that neighborhood really speaks to me. I don't know if it's just the sheer number of churches or the different types of people that have lived there over the years, and history has left its marks on the buildings with the names of the buildings and stuff. It's so rich in history in that area. I'm really just only scratching the surface.
Well, keep it up, because I think it's really enlightening for people. Like I've only lived in Aurora for about 21 years, so I enjoy learning all these things about the different neighborhoods. Having grown up in Chicago and having a similar experience where different ethnic groups and so on lived in specific neighborhoods, it makes me feel very comfortable. So I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
For me, I want to talk about what you've been doing in the last, I've lost track. How many days have we been locked up inside?
Well, if can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. If I make my my addition and all of that, it has been over 44 days that we have been in. I think 46, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Which is a lot. Is a lot. But I think we are all doing the best we can and with what we have, and keeping up our spirits. And like you were talking before we get started, we have become more friendly to the people that walk around, people walking their dogs, and you don't know them, and you just wave um, and serve that kind of thing. My children were very disappointed when they learned that they couldn't go back to school. So that was a hard thing, but they need to learn that it's the safe thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So is this shut-in period or anything that's going on inspiring you to write anything in particular?
Yes, actually, I cannot avoid COVID getting into my poetry as well. I mean, I can't. It's something that is a reality. It's something that is touching us. So yes, I have a poem that I wrote based, and this one was because I was watching the news. This was like a couple of weeks ago, and they were giving like a statistics, and it's called statistics. It's in
Mhm.
Spanish. I'm gonna read it in Spanish, and then I'll try to explain what it means.
Okay.
Un día más. 16,000 muertos al día que ya no hubo luna color rosa. 16 millones de desempleados mientras unos orinan en baños de oro. 10,000 deportados a pesar de todo. Incremento en la producción de papel higiénico para limpiar nuestras culpas. Dice la presentadora de noticias que pasará mucho tiempo antes de que nos volvamos a dar las manos, mientras habla desde su casa. La curva de la curva es un espacio enorme, solo cuerpos inmóviles. Los ojos de los ojos lloran, solo cuerpos inmóviles. La curva de la curva, el espacio eterno. Todo desde la casa llora con ojos, todos deportados desde nuestra antigua realidad. So it talks about the statistics of that day, that there were 16,000 dead people, 16 million unemployed, and while other ones are having the luxury life, 10,000 deported people were that day. And then at the same time, they were praying for incrementing the toilet paper production. And it says maybe just to clean our own sins, I said. And at the same time, the news anchor was saying, I think that America will be different, and we won't have again the willingness or the openness to shake our hands. So that's what the poem says.
Yeah, I think I wonder a lot how we are going to greet each other, in the future, and what all this is gonna look like. Do you find that it's hard to write at this time, or are you finding that things are just kind of flowing out?
Well, Karen, that's a very interesting question. I don't think it's about is the time allowing you to do it easier, or it's allowing you to be harder. I think it's about where your mindset is the day that you wake up. You know, I write every day as a discipline. Mm, but sometimes good things come out, and sometimes things that I want to put in the trash come out as well. Um, all I can say is that I'm not unaware, and my creation and my muse is not getting detached or free from what we are living today.
You know, I'm really glad that you mentioned the concept of discipline, because whenever I talk to young writers, that's one of the first things that we talk about is you are a writer if you write. But what that means is that you have to write, and that you need to carve out time in your day and put stuff on paper. And some of it you're going to throw away, as you said, and some of it you're going to keep. And the other piece of advice that I know we all give to all writers is make sure that you've got something with you all the time, so that when a line or a phrase or an idea or a conversation comes to you, that you can write it down. You know, you might use your phone or some other technology, but so all of this is part of that discipline. And what I have found is that as I'm disciplined, I find things to write about. When I let myself off the hook, so to say, then nothing comes.
Yeah,
So,
you need to keep your arm warm.
right. Good. I like that. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. Okay, Anthony, talk about what you've been doing in terms of writing.
Well, for me, it's been the poetry part of my writing has slowed. It is absolutely slow because, as you guys know, I'm a columnist, I'm an author, and I am actually looking at sort of writing as a futurist now. And by that I mean we know, and I believe we are pretty sure that things are going to change for the entire country. But what I'm looking at and trying to write about is how projected out 10, 15, 25 years from now, what will this society look like? Because this will be with us. If not this, then something else. This has forced us to change in all manner of things. And so my writing is more now geared toward, I think I'll probably start with short stories, begin there, and maybe down the road turn it into a book. And I'm not typically in this, and I'm not talking science fiction, even though it sounds like you could be talking science fiction in the world that we live in now. So when I have a piece of something that I'm writing, say for a newspaper, something that I hope to pitch as part of a short story or a book, I will look to that to see if there's any part of that that could possibly be a piece of poetry that would illustrate what we're dealing with today and how it will impact, maybe not us in this circle now, but our children, our grandchildren, and going forward.
So do you have a routine? Do you force yourself to sit down every day at the same time?
No, I don't sit down. You know, I'm a writer. I may wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and write. I write in the very small hours of the morning. I like to write when it's very quiet because the thoughts then, as you use the word flow, they absolutely flow for me then. I used to have a discipline where I would write 500 words a day. Sometimes I would only salvage 50 of them. Some days I would salvage all 500 and then some. So my discipline is like Fermina said, to keep my arm warm. And I keep at bedside my phone, and I use a recorder. So if a thought comes to me in the middle of the night and I don't feel like getting up to put it to paper, then I would just speak into or send myself an email or a text with the main theme of what my thinking is at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah,
that's a great, I actually find myself stumbling around in my kitchen looking for my glasses at 2 o'clock in the morning to write down something that has occurred to me. So yeah, I think we all do that. And I find the more you do that, the more things come to you. So
absolutely.
So read something for us.
Oh, yeah. So this is something that I put together, sort of adapted it a bit, but it is dedicated to our essential workers. And it came to me because, and I'll just give you a bit of the way that it came to me. I was at the grocery store during what we're going through right now, and I just sort of saw the way some people who are customers there shopping for groceries in the checkout lines. Some people are very attentive to what they're doing as shoppers and recognizing that these essential workers are essential, while others are just going through the line as if, you know, nothing is going on that's different. While you have these people who are there basically risking themselves to work to keep food on our tables. So then I wrote this piece for essential workers, and I'll read it now. We conjure their profiles of courage because it brings comfort. They shimmer as stars that we wish upon. We, the earthbound, wearing hearts on our sleeves, long for a flourish of trumpets to erase the blare that pierced our hearts. Yet the intrusion on our collective memory is no match for the sturdy moors that they are, or the long and comforting afternoon shadows that drape the sacred ground where the salt of the earth does linger and serve.
Oh, it's
Wow.
what a
Yes.
quality group this is, really. This is, you know, when I was thinking about what to share this evening, because I have been posting a lot of my work on the Poet Laureate site, I wanted to pick something that was written by someone else. I was in college from 1968 to 1972, and you probably all know it was the Vietnam era. There was a lot of cultural things going on, revolutions. And I wrote about a poem that I read when I was in college that had been written during World War II. And what I like about this poem, it's a contrast between a basic mundane activity during war, which is cleaning a gun, and what was going on outside in nature. It's by a poet named Henry Reed, and it's called The Naming of Parts. Today we have naming of parts. Yesterday we had daily cleaning, and tomorrow morning we shall have what to do after firing. But today we have naming of parts. Japonica glistens like coral in all of the neighboring gardens, and today we have naming of parts. This is the lower sling swivel, and this is the upper sling swivel, whose use you will see when you are given your slings. And this is the piling swivel, which in your case you have not got. The branches hold in the gardens their silent, eloquent gestures, which in our case we have not got. This is the safety catch, which is always released with an easy flick of the thumb. And please do not let me see anyone using his finger. You can do it quite easy if you have any strength in your thumb. The blossoms are fragile and motionless, never letting anyone see any of them using their finger. And this you can see is the bolt. The purpose of this is to open the breech, as you see. We can slide it rapidly backwards and forwards. We call this easing the spring. And rapidly backwards and forwards, the early bees are assaulting and fumbling the flowers. They call it easing the spring. They call it easing the spring. It is perfectly easy if you have any strength in your thumb, like the bolt and the breech and the cocking piece and the point of balance, which in our case we have not got, and the almond blossom, silent in all of the gardens, and the bees going backwards and forwards. For today, we have naming of parts. Anyway, that really resonates for me. I feel like we're in a time of so much uncertainty, and I find that a lot of my anxiety is coming out in my writing, and I'm trying actually to push myself to look for good things, to try to write look for, as so many people are doing, you know, acts of kindness or paying attention to nature. And I feel like we have a particular gift right now because it's spring. You know, if we had been living through this during the deep and dark winter, I think it would be even more of a struggle than it is for us now. So anyway, Quentin, you have something else you want to read?
Yes, I do. This is the piece that I actually wrote this on Friday. I finished it on Friday. to celebrate all of our wonderful doctors, nurses, janitors, everybody who's working in our healthcare system, who are just working so hard and so long to keep us healthy and to keep us all moving forward together. The title of this poem is Healthcare Heroes. With a stethoscope and a prayer of hope, we stand beside your bed. With gloves, a gown, and a face shield crown, run a thermometer across your head. You may need a test, an x-ray of your chest, maybe a breathing treatment. Have no fear, our doctors are here, ready to tend your ailment. We are the front line against COVID-19, ready, willing, and able. We've been put to the test. We're America's best. Our nerves steady and stable. Doctors, nurses, even receptionists, janitors, radiologists, and respiratory therapists, food service workers, laundry and pharmacists, lab technicians, and skilled phlebotomists. We'll fight this enemy, a formidable foe, but we will win. We're the healthcare heroes.
I love how you find
Very
these
nice.
rhymes. I'm just,
I know.
I'm in awe.
Yeah, I think you stretched
Me
one there, though.
too.
Well, we'll give him a
Lobotomist.
break here, but I'm in
Oh
awe
my
of
gosh.
how you find those rhymes. Oh, and very, very
Quite
inspirational.
something, Quentin.
Fermina, do you have something else that you can read?
Yes, sure. I have here a poem in English, and it's from my second book called Moon Ocean. But the reason I chose it is because a dear friend of mine was going to get married yesterday. No, 2 days ago, Saturday.
Okay.
And of course, they couldn't, and they are in different states.
Oh,
So they don't know when are they gonna get together again. They had to cancel everything for the wedding. And this, I saw this poem and I thought of them. And I thought about all the people who love each other and wish to be in the same space. So it's called Space. Tonight, more than ever, I need a space, yours and mine, where letters in between lines are written in secret, where the more intense passions walk subtly, where imprudent thoughts seduce the senseless. Tonight, more than ever, I need a space, yours and mine, where getting to know one another little by little can be a game of strategy, when discovering day to day can be the most sensible puzzle, and the music can constitute itself in perfect cadence between your skin and mine. Tonight, more than ever, we need a space, yours and mine, where loving each other can be simpler than longing for each other in such a way.
oh,
Oh, beautiful.
it
Yeah,
is.
beautiful.
I'm going to stop
Yeah.
yelling at my husband. That's a good one. Poem.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Did you
Wow.
send that to your friends?
I haven't. I'm going to.
Oh, yeah. No, what a great wedding present that would be, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Anthony, do you have something else you want to read?
Yeah, I have another, and this was previously written, but I think it does fit the times that we are in. And the poem is titled In the Shadows. You've seen them, last to leave, parades and celebrations, profiles in courage, hearts on their sleeve, in the shadows. Applause like claps of thunder, loud in adoration, louder still when tested, in the shadows. Sirens' deafening blare, their uncommon might, like Moors guiding the way, in the shadow. Soggy frozen ground, salt of the earth, can't conjure faces, there in the shadows.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh,
Very
Really.
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very, very, very nice.
Do we have time for another poem, Clayton?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll read one that I wrote. And this is again part of my pushing myself to try to look for positive things. I'm very fortunate in that my home office has a window that looks out on a magnolia tree. And so I always have,
Oh,
yes, I'm really lucky. I always have a chance to pay attention to spring. So this poem is called Bees. Bees have arrived to do their work. They know their purpose, lucky souls. They have traveled from a faraway place to open flowers and nudge the buds toward beckoning spring. Unlike humans who wander around lost and seeking, what on earth were we meant to do? Should we buzz and fly? Should we organize ourselves in groups or fend for ourselves? Should we fight for the queen or laze in the hive? Where do we fit in the chain of beauty? Do we add more than we take away? Do others long for a taste of our honey or flee from our sting?
Very nice.
Yes.
very nice.
Yeah. And I think that's an important message to anyone who's writing, is that you're certainly going to have difficult things to deal with, but many times when you can find something positive as a contrast, that's the paradox of life, right? I mean, that's what life is all about. Each one of us, I'm sure, knows so many different stories of ways that writing has helped us grapple with things that are happy and also attend to things that are more difficult.
Karen, there's one thing that you mentioned, and I think is so important. You were saying something about controlling your anxiety, for example.
Mhm.
Writing is a very, very therapeutic way to control anxiety.
Right.
Matter of fact, there's expressive writing or just jogging things in a diary. Those things can really help you with having fever or with whatever thoughts of fear or anxiety that are going on. That's something I do because of my bipolar.
Right.
Yeah.
And even I think that's great advice. And even for people that feel like they can't write, keeping a journal, sitting down every day,
Right.
just putting some thoughts down. And I think that goes to something that Anthony was talking about, which is being able to observe and pay attention to what's happening around you so that later on you can process that, right? You can think about it. So
Right.
I firmly believe that every human being is creative. I'm sorry sometimes that our educational system doesn't encourage creativity. I know there are many teachers who do encourage creativity, and I applaud them for that, because we all know, we've all been around small children, and we know that when they're not afraid, they express themselves. And that's a great trait that we could all keep going as adults too. And writing is just a great way to express yourself. Any other
Absolutely.
thoughts? Yeah, and you all have any more ideas or thoughts or tips that you want to pass along to any people that are thinking about writing?
Just put it all down on paper, write it, put it out there, and share it. Ask people what they think about it, whether it be a teacher, a family member, or a friend. Because honestly, sometimes we are our own worst critics when we're writing. We are very, we're very critical of our own works and can very easily see the beauty in someone else's writing. So I say, if you have any doubts, just write it and then share it. And, a group like A-Town Poetics, we're doing stuff on Facebook now instead of meeting in person, but share it and find out what other people have to say, but don't hesitate, just do it.
Right, yeah, that's good. Anthony, you have any writing tips for people who are out there that are afraid to write?
Well, I think you three guys have pretty much covered it. What I would say, and one of my observations, and maybe it's more in the form of a hope, is that, and even a knowledge, I would say, that there's someone out there, and maybe many people out there right now, who are writing about what's going on in a way that is really going to be profound
Mhm.
in months, years to come. I mean, the things that we are able to see as writers, you know, we seem to have a sense and a way of looking beyond what is the obvious. And I
Mhm.
know that that's happening right now, and I know it's happening on a grand scale because people, all they have is time now, you know, and they have time to explore themselves in a way that maybe they haven't done in a while or maybe ever. And so I'm just hoping that, you know, we get to see the fruits of what this period is offering us. And it is offering us something to all of humanity. All of humanity is getting to see something that we have never seen before. And it has to be chronicled, it has to be recorded. And I'm confident that there are people out there like ourselves and others who are doing that.
Right. You know, that would be a great idea for Clayton to organize a festival at the end where we can all come back out and be together, kind of a festival to celebrate what our experiences have been during this time.
For sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not sure, Clayton, you'll have to tell us how much more time we have.
Yeah, definitely. I think you were going round robin to Fermina next, and then we can begin to close out.
Okay, Fermina, go for it.
Okay, well then I'm gonna read a poem. And then I promise that I will pass it to you in English when I have it.
Okay.
Poema 28. Me gusta el rojo en su camisa blanca, el vino curado, los lienzos inmóviles en sus paredes blancas, el perchero al lado izquierdo de la foto en blanco y negro, viva, curiosa, negándose a envejecer. Me gusta el rojo en su barba de 2 días, la mirada anclada al momento. Me gusta su color rojo en silencio, el cerillo que enciende y lo extingue con una mirada. El rojo se vuelve naranja sobre el taburete, ese rojo que canta versos con ecos de cuevas, el rojo que se consume en el aire. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. I love hearing you read Spanish. It is such a beautiful language, and I don't speak it, but it's like music. It's you know, English is a very technical language, and has a much harder edge, but Spanish just to me flows like music. So thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much,
beautiful.
Karen, for allowing me to do that. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you to all.
thank you to Clayton for thinking of this.
Oh,
And
Yes, thank you very much.
comments on Facebook.
Thank you, Clayton.
Oh, thank you. You all, you guys are absolutely amazing. The comments on Facebook, please read them. Just thanking you for your time, your inspiration, the beauty of your poetry. One person asked, can we please see these poems somewhere so we can read them too? And I think, Karen, you handle that daily on your page.
Aurora Poet Laureate Facebook page, please get on it and please read what people are contributing and send me stuff. I'll say my email address again is kfc16@sbcglobal.net. And thank you also to Quentin for plugging A-Town Poetics, which is a local group of writers get together at the library when we're able to do that. And we just support each other. It's open to all ages, and we've got a great crew of people, and they also have a Facebook page. So thanks for listening.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
Close out like we've been closing out some other panelists. Before the whole pandemic hit, you guys are really focused on bringing youth into the fold. I mean,
Yes.
even putting a student onto this great group of poets. Understanding what's happening now, can you, each of you, just take a minute or less to pass on some wisdom and words to the youth, particularly the class of 2020? You know how important those milestones are that have now been adjusted and taken. So if we can pass that knowledge on, we've asked all of our panelists this, no matter what topic, so we can collect those thoughts for the next generation.
Quentin, you want to start?
All of the things that you had hoped and wished for and were looking forward to this spring, they are happening. It's just happening differently. Take this time to make your senior year, your graduation, your own celebration of everything that you have done to this point and share it with the world.
That's good.
Wonderful. Wow.
Fermina?
Yes, I I join Quentin in his words, and the other thing I would say is sometimes different is good because allow us to value what we used to have or maybe what we wish to have. So I would congratulate all the 2020 graduates and wish them all the best and keep strong and stay strong.
Anthony?
Yeah, I would say 2020 graduates, yeah, certainly it's different, but I'm going to tag a line from way back in my day. Do your thing. This is going to pass. Do your thing. Come back strong when this is over and do your thing again. Everyone knows your accomplishments. Everyone knows that you are the best of 2020 and you'll be the best going forward. And hey, do your thing.
I'm from the same generation as Anthony. I'm a little older, but I would echo that. But I think everyone can look back on a defining period in history that was affecting their lives. And interestingly, it's typically your adolescence. It's typically the time from about 16 to about 20 that's making an impact. So I would say, I agree, do your thing. Use this time to explore who you are. Don't be afraid of who you are. And just use all of the things that you learn about yourself for the rest of your life. They will serve you well.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Thank you all. This is to our Deputy Poet Laureate, Quentin, Fermina, and Anthony, to our Poet Laureate, Karen. I believe you guys call yourself like the Poetry Posse.
We do.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. We're doing our thing.
Thanks for being you. Thanks for doing what you do. We look forward to life, in the future as we continue to move forward. Thank you, Aurora, for tuning in. We have something going on each day this week right here on Facebook Live. Remember, we are Aurora Strong, but for right now, we're stronger at home. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.